Hello and welcome to another episode of Project Supercar. Now this thing's been stuck in my carport for a few weeks now and the weather's been terrible. But I have a secret weapon. This should solve it. You see, the problem I've had is it's been raining almost non-stop for a good couple of weeks and I've not been able to pull the car out so I can unseize the brakes. So the plan is to put a tent between the garage and the carport, and I can then drag the car into the tent and hopefully if it rains I won't get wet. Now I know some of you are asking why bother, because this is a donor car, but I don't want the interior to get wet because I live in the UK and it's winter and I'm not going to see sun for at least 6 months. So if the carpets get wet and I've got great big puddles of water in there, I'm going to be kneeling in it and all that sort of stuff, and I don't want to be doing that. Plus I want to keep the electrics, I want to salvage all the electrics, some of the dash and a whole load of other bits and pieces in there. And another thing I've got to think about is you lot. I'm now recording all this, so I've got to think about the camera equipment as well, make sure that doesn't get covered in rain. So the only solution was to buy a tent, put it up, and hopefully I can unseize these brakes, get the car turned around, pull the doors off, and finally get it in my garage. There you go, the tent's up. All I've got to do now is drag the car in. Yeah. Whoopee! Well, I've been putting this off a little bit too long and blaming the weather. I mean, we've just had Christmas and beer was involved and I really couldn't get motivated to drag this thing out and unseize the brakes, but I'm going to have to do it. Let's get past it. Let's get it in. Okay, plan B. I'm going to try unseizing the brakes while the car is still in the carport, one wheel at a time, and then try and get the car in. The bar's bending, you can't tug it, and I could do it with a couple of lads, you know, they could give me a hand, but I can't phone people up to say, oh come here, give me a push and then go back home. So so I'm going to have a rethink. I'm going to try unseizing each brake one at a time in the carport, get it back down on the wheels, and then hopefully I can just drag it in. We'll see.
Brian Little.
Now that the wheel's off, let's take a look at these brakes. Oh dear. Yeah, pretty well seized up. And for those of you who are asking, did I leave the handbrake on when I parked this car up a couple of years ago? No, I didn't. I left the handbrake off. I left it in gear. But it's still seized up. And what makes things worse is I actually refurbished these brakes about 2.5 years ago and these were all brand new. Take a closer look, there's no lip on these rear discs. It's just corrosion. Oh well, let's see if we can clean them up. So here we go. I just pulled the caliper off. Oh dear. See the pads, they're virtually brand new. Oh well. Yeah, it looks like the piston has seized. Normally you can just twist these back in to the caliper with a pair of pliers, but this one's not budging, so it looks like this caliper is seized up. I think I'll just put the caliper back on, I'll leave the pads out, and then that way the wheel should still be able to rotate and I should be able to get this car pushed. Okay, the caliper's back on, just left the pads out. So that should be good enough for now, just so that the wheel can get turned. Okay, it now goes round. It's just the Quattro system's making it a little bit tight, but that's to be expected. But that should be good enough to push this thing. Now I've just got to do the other side. Well, it's the next day. It was getting dark and I'd had enough, and some bacon was involved. And I don't like to work on a full stomach, so I thought yesterday that was enough, but now it's time to carry on. I'm going to push the car over, I'm going to try and unseize the other wheel. Ooh, that's a bit tight. Good job I'm not too worried about the paint job on this thing. Let me just show you how stiff this wheel is, and remember the handbrake is off. So the car's off the ground. Let's just give this wheel a quick tug. Ugh. Nope. No. That's well and truly seized. I did actually refurbish these brakes a few years ago. Although this has always been intended to be a donor car, it was my daily driver. I thought it would be great fun to drive this thing around for 6 months, couple of years or whatever. You know, it's a bit scruffy, so I wasn't too bothered about putting steel in the back. Plus, it's a 2.7 twin turbo, and a lot of young lads driving their Saxos pulled alongside this thing at the traffic lights, thinking, oh, Grandpa's old Audi estate, and they missed the badge on the back, the old 2.7T. This thing shifts. Anyway, I think it's time to undo this caliper, pull the pads out, and this one should be done, just like the other side. This side's got a dust shield. I don't know where the other side went. Yeah, this is pretty gone as well. I know it's a little bit tight, but let's take a quick look at the rear suspension on this thing while it's all like this. The plan is to use this rear suspension on the turbo chassis that will run the 2.7T. But I've just had a quick look at it, and there's a few issues. Let's take a quick look. It looks as though the top part of the hub is bolted through. Don't know if you can make that out. Sorry for the terrible camera angles, but I'm squashed up against a wall, so I'm trying my best. It's not really how I wanted to do it, but this is what we're gonna have to deal with. But yeah, it looks like the toe on this car is preset. You can't adjust it. So, I don't know. Obviously it's not great. I can't quite get in here, but when we strip this thing down, we can have a closer look at this rear suspension and see if I can put in some sort of adjustable toe. I want some more adjustment on it than this. Oh well, that's for another episode. Yeah, this jack's not so good either. It goes down after about an hour or so. Oops. Okay, it's back down on the ground. Let's see if I can push it. Well, it does look like the fronts are binding as well. So yeah, I'm gonna have to fix that. Great. Okay, this is dragging out a little bit. The rears are done, but the fronts seem to be binding. They're not fully seized, but they're just binding enough to make this thing a bit too difficult to push. So I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to have to unseize them a little bit. I'm not going to do it now. I'll do it next week or something. So, oh yeah, by the way, anyone watching this, this is not, I repeat, not a how to unseize your handbrake on an Audi A6 or anything, right? Removing the pads, okay, that's not how you fix seized brakes. Okay, so don't follow that. Don't cover the brake discs in WD-40. Don't do anything that I did. Okay? This is a donor car, it's going to get stripped, so it's never going to go on the road again. Anyway, disclaimer out the way. I'm going to have some bacon and we'll do this another day. So for now, I'm going to call it quits. See you in the next one. Bye.